took out these. These go right here in the back of the motor. Oh, you can't even see. They go back here. The dowel pin lines everything up for the transmission. But with these transmission mounts that I'm going to use, by the time it takes up the 1/4 of an inch on here, and then the back of the transmission, it doesn't sit inside the transmission to steady it up. So I had to get some longer ones. Now, surprise, surprise, I did not buy new ones. New ones were between $18 a set for two of them. Between $18 and $30, depending on what manufacturer you went to. These are 1 inch. I need 1 5/8 inches. So, maybe some. 1 5/8 inches by 0.625, 5/8 rod, and I just dropped it. So, we are going to put, now I did not taper these. These are a little bit more tapered. You can see the taper right here. Well, this is not as tapered, but it is a little bit, and it should slide in and be all right. So what I'm going to do, give her a little squirt here with the Marlboro mystery oil. Take my little pecker hammer. We're going to try to drive these bad boys in. There's a spot inside that it only goes so far, but I don't think I'm there yet. That sound tells me it's all the way seated in, I think. No, it ain't. It ain't. Got a little bit further to go. I think she's in there now. So you can see this sticks out about a half, or about almost another inch farther out. So that way, when I put the motor mount on, after I get this all trimmed up, I'll have plenty there to, the transmission belt housing will go right on. That ensures, number one, the belt housing's lined up where it needs to be, and keeps it from twisting under a load. Got the other one right here. Lube her up. There's that. Yeah. So now, let me put a bolt in here real quick. By the way, CJ Reed, Racing Engines and Transmissions, notified me that at any time I get a chance, I can go down there and pick up the transmissions. They're both done. So I may see if I can get somebody to ride down with me Friday. We'll mosey on down there and pick up them bad boys and get them back here. If I can get them back here, you know what that means. I can put the transmission on. I can put the torque converter on, the transmission on. I still want to get some connection over here to see the starter. Well, it's out. I want to see if it's lined up correctly to mesh with the flex plate here. That way we get a good start, and it's not stressing or it's not grinding any of the teeth off, and I won't have no problems. So let's see here. Oh. So as you can see with this mount on, is I have plenty sticking out there for that bell housing to slip on there and line everything up. The other one, it would have barely had anything to do that. So when you run anything like this that gives a 1/4 inch out, then you kind of have to do that. Plus I got a spacer welded on to the end of my torque converter, so that way it'll fit up in there and line up everything straight on that. So we got that done. Little by little, folks, she's coming together. They're all coming together. Just maybe not as fast as I want, but slow and steady wins the race. That's what they always say anyways. Also, I have decided, currently, as of right now, I am not going to run the lines from the back of the intake to the front. It is supposed to evenly cool the heads, front and back. 5 and 7 cylinder, they say, let's see here. What is it? 4 and 7 or something. Anyways, they produce more heat than any of them. For some reason, maybe it's farther away or whatever, but right now, unless I have heating problems, or cooling problems, I should say, I am not going to run those lines. If I do start having some overheating issues and I've got everything else that I can think of, then I can go ahead and make some lines and get some fittings and stuff, but right now I'm just trying to get things done on a budget. That way I'm ready here in a couple weeks. So I got some handy dandy plugs here. We're going to get those installed, and that way by the time I do get around to getting the engine fired up, it'll all be set up and the sealed up. The sealer will have time to do its job. So I got the plugs, I got my Allen here. I'm also, I also need to measure for my radiator hoses. I got to get those ordered. Those are going to be about $75 just for 2 radiator hoses, an upper and a lower. I only use Gates because they've got the wire inside of them so they won't collapse. Under pressure, that rubber gets real squishy, and the pressure will cause it to collapse, and then it stops your coolant flow. So I'm getting Gates radiator, both upper and lower, even though I probably don't need both of them, but I'm going to get it both of them anyways, just to be on the safe side. Alright. This stuff's here is a mess, but once it sets up, I mean, it seals really well. So, put that in there. Also, if I run into some overheating problems, like I said, I do have the fittings that go in the bottom of the block here. I can run a hose from there to where I just put this plug in, and it's got a top plug here. I can put one from there and run it, and put one right there if I want. If I did that, I would gain about, probably I would say altogether, by the time you add in the fluid and the hoses and stuff, maybe a half a quart, which isn't a whole lot, more of antifreeze or cooling. But it would just distribute the cooler fluid, the cooler water, to the areas of the engines to make it cool more evenly. So I've got that. Those are all in. I'm going to get to ordering some more parts. Tomorrow, I had some other plans, but tomorrow, I had some things come up today that I didn't get to get on the Super Street. I got to get on it though. I got to get a puller. I got to get I don't know if it's the Pitman arm or what kind of arm you call it, but I got to get a puller to pull the arm off the steering box so I can get the steering boxes changed. And so I do have this steering box out, or the new one sitting here. I got to get it in, and that's going to be the next project. I may work on that tomorrow. I may stop by the parts store and try to get a puller. They may have one that I can rent, and when I take it back, I get my money back. So no money out of pocket there. But yeah, I'd like to get this bad boy changed out, do the steering wheel deal, make sure it's just like this one, turn and a half, block to lock, and we'll be good to go. I did get the power wire that goes to the front of the firewall down to the starter, so I've got that. I've got to make a little bit of adjustment to the other rear motor mount that goes on here. Whoa, you can't even see no more. The other motor mount because it hits the starter, so I got to do a little trim in there. When I get the transmission, I'll put the cross member in, and then I'll put these, the rear mounts on as well. But that'll give me an idea to where everything needs to sit, so I can start welding the pads in, so I can get these to mount on the rear instead of the cross member. I'll probably run that cross member too. It'll have 1, 2, 3, 4. It'll have 5 points of contact to hold down the motor. So that's all I have for tonight, folks. Like I said, it was a short, sweet, and simple video tonight. It's a nice night out, but I've got to get ready to go to work. So I hope you guys have a good night, and I will see you on the next episode. Okay, made a little bit of adjustment here. You can see I just notched that out just a little bit, and I'm going to put it on. Give me a couple bolts. My bolt holes line up. Everything sits flat, and I've got just a little bit of space clearance. Fits up in there pretty nice. And then that way, everything should be good to go. So I made that adjustment too tonight. Wasn't going to do any more, but I got a little bit more time. So just a little bit more done, I reckon. I just got to get, I got to find my other one. I can't seem to find it. But I also think I may have used it because when I wrecked this car last year, it twisted a bunch of stuff. Instead of trying to beat it out and this and that, I think I put the new one. I think I used the new one over here on this engine. So I may have to order another set, which is fine. But, okay, so I got that. Yep. So the next thing I'm ordering is, like I said, the radiator hoses. So this week I'm ordering both radiator hoses, the upper and lower. I am ordering the distributor tie down. And then when I get everything in, the only thing I have to do is get some transmission fluid, get the transmission, the torque converter and transmission bolted up. That's always a lot easier when it's out of the car as well. I want to get some new torque converter bolts. That way, you know, I don't have any issues with anything, I hope. And then that way I'll be able to hopefully get that steering box in tomorrow. That steering box is right there. But the good thing about this car is with this bolt, this bolt, this bolt, this one right here, this one, this one, this one, this one, and this one, and this one, that whole fender comes off. Yeah, it sounds like a lot, but it only takes with my gun there, it only takes maybe a minute to take those bolts out, and that whole fender will come off, and it'll give me a lot more room to get there. I need to get, I may look to see if I can find some plugs. So that way when I take those lines off, I can just plug them real quick. So I don't lose a whole bunch of fluid. But like I said, I got to get that puller. I'll stop at the parts store tomorrow morning after I get off work to see about that puller. And before race season actually starts, I want to redo my fan shroud. As you see, it was a little short when I made it, so I had to bend it up. It doesn't fit in there half and half. They say you want your fan half and half in there. I mean, it's kind of close, and it did pull a lot of air through there, but the radiator is small, if you guys can see. The radiator for the Iowa car, I think I took my tape measure. I took my tape measure, and now I don't know where I put it. I took it to the house in Frankfurt. So, but anyways, the radiator I got for the Iowa car, it is, I believe, either 29 inches across or 31 across. This one here is 26, I think, from here to there. I think it's only 26. I'm gonna end up ordering, the price is still the same, so I may end up ordering a couple extra radiators. This one here though, is the outlet and the inlet are both on the passenger side. Now I can take this off, I can flip it upside down, and I can put it over here. Or I can just, you know, order another radiator that's like this. But I need this bottom, I need the bottom one down here. I need it angled, so that way my tube, if I get a little bit longer one, because I've got space to go longer over here, but my radiator tube is hitting that bolt, and it'll eventually wear a hole through it, and I don't want to do that. So I need to do that. I need to get fittings for the fuel pump. And then make a line for the fuel pump. I think I know what fittings I need. So let's see here, this one here. This one here has a 90 going there. And then this one here I think has a 90 as well. Yeah, coming up. So it's just a straight and an, okay, so this is a straight one and that's a 90 to a 90. This one over here, let's just see what this one's got on there. This one's got a 90, so I need a straight and a 90 as well for this car. April, I believe it's April 6th, I think, it's either a Friday or Saturday, is the first practice in Indianapolis. So I'm going to try to have the Super Street completely done for practice. That is getting my new shocks in, going through the suspension, getting the steering box on. I'm getting everything done to the motor, changing the plugs, make sure everything's good to go. New U-joints, new bushings if I need any. Clean them all out, clean the old ones out, all new grease everywhere. Need to still change that pinion seal. And I still got to go through my tires and get those going. But the whole thing is this is getting ready to be March. Getting ready to be March. And I go to Florida for a week. So that takes some time out of there. I come back on the 12th, so middle of March. So I've got the rest of this week. To do whatever I need to do. And hopefully I get a lot accomplished. I'm working on a house in Frankfurt. I bought a house. It's pretty run down, but I'm in the middle of redoing it to flip it. It needs a lot of work, so I've been working on that too, along with the cars. But the cars this week are going to be the most important rather than the house. So took a small little break. Actually, my battery went dead in my phone, but I went ahead and took off the fender. As you can see, it opens up everything. There's the bolts. Just those few little bolts opens up the whole thing. So now I can get right in here to the steering box. It shouldn't really be that hard. You got 1, 2, 3 bolts that hold it on. You got a bolt that goes through here. I'll have to clean that up. That holds that shaft on. The steering shaft, and then just undo the lines and the pitman arm, I think it is. And it'll come right off. Then this one will go on. And as you can see, maybe, let's see if I can get this cap off here. It looks like yeah, that's where that bolt goes in there on this recess part there, and that way it holds it in so it can't come off, that steering shaft. So it shouldn't be too hard. Like I said, you got the 3 bolts, 1, 2, 3 that hold it on, and I believe these. I think those are the same. Yeah, they're the same that I already have on there. So I'm hoping it'll only take, 30, 40 minutes to change. That arm should come off pretty easy. It's not like it's been on there for 30 years like the original cars. It's been off and on a couple times. So, all right, guys, I think that is going to wrap it up for tonight. So tomorrow, hopefully I'll have the fittings for the fuel lines. We get those in. We can get the box changed out. That would be great. Let's see here. So get that on, get those on. Get the box on and changed out. may go ahead and, since I got this side of the fender off, pull these plugs, these spark plugs, put the new spark plugs in. I do need to get a fitting that goes to that. It's from my oil pressure. You can see if I can find one of those. And then I need a fitting for the water temperature gauge. So that is a 3/8, and so I'll need a 1/2 inch reducer to a 3/8 that fits on top of here, because this is 1/2 inch, that's 3/8. So I have to get a fitting for here, get that in. That way when I do drop the motor in, it's just going to be a few things, and hopefully we'll be able to start it up. I want to do it all together first time. The exhaust is outside. I'm going to get those in here soon, get them kind of cleaned up. Or I may actually take those to a guy to sandblast them, and then maybe I'll paint them or have him powder coat them or whatever. I don't know if the powder coat probably won't hold up, but because they are designed for this car, for the Iowa car. The only other thing I keep forgetting that I need to do is I need to find a drive shaft for it, but I can't get the drive shaft until I get the motor and transmission in, and then I got to get the gear put in the rear end. That way I can measure from the tail shaft to the pinion how long of a drive shaft I need. So, it's getting tiring. I'm not gonna lie to people, with everything that I got going on, but I'm still here. I'm still doing it. Hopefully when it gets closer to go time, it'll all pay off. This car here, this street stock, I mean, I'm not going to say it's the fastest thing around, but I mean, it can hold its own. If I just need a little bit more experience and some more setup, and then I think I'll have it good to go. So, all right, guys, time for me to hit the road and go to work. So you guys have a good night, and I will see you guys tomorrow.